You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And do we have a good show planned for you today? Why do you ask? Fair question, because our guest, Jessica Kavanaugh Huang, is here, and she is the owner of Restaurant Marketing. Jessica, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. I always love to have Orange County entrepreneurs, and I get a special bonus when I have a founder like you of a company. So that's where I want to start. Let's look back a little bit. Let's get your origin story out into the conversation, Jessica. Talk to me a little bit about the motivation that you felt and the inspiration that you had for launching Restaurant Marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely no question. I have a very strong passion for food. So that certainly was one of the main drivers in starting the business. But, on top of that, it was also wanting, a level of autonomy and also just being able to build something without limits, especially from a financial perspective. Growing up the way that I grew up, I knew very early on that I was growing up with a lot less resources than some people that I had been meeting. I grew up on Section 8 housing. I didn't really have, reliable parents. And so there was always like a level of urgency. There's no better way, I think, to accomplish the things you want to accomplish than giving yourself an outlet and something to work on that gives you a level of autonomy that, a 9-to-5 is just not going to give you.
So that's interesting because you must have learned, and tell me if this is wrong, I'm just reacting to what you said, to be self-reliant.
Absolutely. I definitely had to be self-reliant from a very early age. And I always, I think that whatever you believe in, whether that's God, energy, whatever the case is, right? Life is always giving you opportunities. And I think that when life gives you those opportunities, you have to strike when the iron's hot. And so, fortunately for me, I was, as a result of it, I think a lot of hard work, I positioned myself well. I met, people along the way that spent a lot of time mentoring me about basic business skills, right? I didn't just graduate from college and think, okay, I'm just going to start a business. I absolutely had a lot of input from certain mentors and people who really cared about me over the years. And so that also was a huge driver because it helped me build my confidence. But absolutely, I don't think that if I was able to seize those moments that I would even be where I am at this point. So yes, that is absolutely the case.
Okay, so let's talk about now on the other side of the launch. What have you learned? What have been the pivots to the business? Founders were always, until you get in the market and you start doing things, you don't fully appreciate what your value proposition maybe is, and you learn from the market telling you. So I'm just curious, Jessica, talk to us about the early days and maybe up till now, any pivots to the business. What have you learned? Okay, we're on a live stream here on Critical Mass Business Talk Show, and on occasion we do have a bit of a delay, and it looks like right now we might be experiencing that with Jessica. But don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm very confident that between Haley and Jessica, we'll get her back on the show. This is Orange County's longest running business talk show. We do stream it live on YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms, and occasionally we have a bit of a technical glitch, which I think we've just experienced now, but I'll just fill the time, as it were, and continue to hold your attention until we have our guest back, because she has a very interesting story. And I think from what we just started with, you can see one of the things that I've learned during the show over the years is the path to becoming a successful entrepreneur is varied. And it really is the combination of all the experiences that you have that bring you to the time when you're able to start your business. Not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Some try it and realize that. Others think they could. Oh, I have good news. Our guest is back. Just hold on, ladies. There she
I don't know
is.
what
Hey,
happened.
Jessica.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's not you. It's something out in the. It does not matter. I was just going to ask you about any pivots to the business. What have you learned since you launched?
There's so many hurdles. I've been doing restaurant marketing now for about 10 years. Originally when I started the business, I had a partnership for about 4 years, and there was a lot of lessons learned. I mean, 4 years is not a long time, and so I learned a lot of lessons. And when I rebranded, one of the things that I learned very quickly is breaking into this space. I wouldn't say is the easiest. I definitely worked for pennies and took on anything and everything that I could because portfolio is the most important, especially in marketing, right? I mean, you have to have a level of logos to share with people to show credibility. And so I would say I learned that very quickly. And right, I think over time in working with small businesses, restaurants that only have one unit versus several units, you just kind of figure out what area you want to play in, right? In terms of who your ideal customer is. So lots of pivoting, lots of proof of concepts, lots of A/B testing, but I mean, I feel like nothing ever is flawless and nothing is perfect, and so that's what kind of shapes you over the years. And really kind of drives the way that you conduct business. So it's all been a fun learning experience. It doesn't feel fun when you're going through it, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
So I did the quick math. You said 5 years, so this is 2025. So it sounds like in the 2019, 2020 timeframe is when you and your partner launched.
Correct. We launched before that in 2015, and we parted ways in 2019.
Okay.
And then right before the pandemic was when I rebranded. And
we can laugh now, but not at the time, right?
I was very busy. It was a time where restaurants had a lot of things taken away from them in terms of how they generate revenue, right? You couldn't dine in. Basically, all you could do was delivery and pickup. And at the time, I happened to be I had just sort of stopped working at a company called Postmates, which was one of the leading delivery companies at the time. And so I just happened to have a wealth of knowledge, and everyone had to transition to that. And so I was able to capitalize on it and build my portfolio alone much faster. And so it was a good time for me. And it was just me at the time. So obviously the team has extended from since then, but it actually catapulted me very quickly. So
wow, that's an inspiring story, Jessica, because one would think that maybe being in your specific niche during the beginning and middle and end of COVID could be hard, but having your background made you even more desirable because they had to relearn how to be in the restaurant business, and you had the knowledge, which is fantastic. Yeah. So let's talk about restaurant marketing today. You mentioned the team. Just give us a sense for who you help. I kind of know, at least it's in your name. Congratulations, Smart Marketing. Put that right in the name of the company. Are you there? Oh, see, this time, ladies and gentlemen, I picked up on the fact that her screen froze a little sooner. So if you're in the live audience, stay with us. You don't want to miss the rest of the interview. You can see the quality of conversation that we can have with a guest like Jessica. And I'm sure she'll be back momentarily. Not sure what's going on, but some days this happens in live radio, which we have been doing for years now. And unfortunately, it does happen on occasion. Our catalog is rich and deep. If you happen to be an Orange County-based entrepreneur, or you run a nonprofit and you're interested in being a guest on our program, then I strongly encourage you to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I, and let me know of your interest. And between Haley, our producer, and myself, we'll figure out how to get you on a future episode. We do several shows a week, and we're always and exclusively focused on business in Orange County. And we do talk with nonprofit leaders as well. So good
Okay.
news.
Hopefully this will be the last time I get kicked off. Let's go back to your question, restaurant marketing. So yeah, we are a full service marketing firm. We specialize in social media, graphic design, brand development, and we really specialize at this point with multi-unit brands, specifically brands that I think really want to get past, you know, the 3 or 4 units, and they want to grow to 10, 20, 30, 30 unit brands. Our largest client right now is Yogurtland. They have over 400 units. We've been working with them since 2019. And we don't do public relations, so I just want to throw that out there. But in terms of branding and just really helping concepts establish who they are and how to, you know, penetrate the market, that is where our sweet spot is. So we really try to focus on those types of clients who are really looking to either franchise or just multiply locations privately, right? Because there are some chains out there that, you know, people might think are franchised or not, but are not. For example, Panda Express, they are not franchised. The family that started Panda Express, they own all of them, right? So there's that strategy. And then there's also the flip side of that. For instance, like the Halal Guys, they are franchised, headquartered in New York. And I don't want to say anyone can own a Halal Guys because that's not true, but you can enter your name into the hat to own potentially a Halal Guys if you'd like to.
So we love Yogurtland, always have, and I'd have to believe during COVID with their self-serve model, that was a challenge for their business as well, Jessica.
It was. We really leaned into you know, sanitation, obviously educating the consumer about how they had pivoted, and, you know, the seriousness around, like, how serious they were taking it internally to ensure that guests would have a safe experience. And so, right, it's no different than any other industry. There are things that are going to happen in waves. And so you just need to be able to, you know, step in and be, I mean, I don't know that anyone is an expert on an national pandemic, but you need to be able to, you know, to be agile and step in and really help people out, and give them good perspective when they're trying to communicate a message to their fan base. And I think we were able to do that very effectively. So
we've been doing the show 15 years here, Critical Mass Business Talk Show, and years ago we had Philip Chang, founder of Yogurtland, on our show. And one of the things that I came away with, and I know the show's not about him, it's about you, but is the work they do in developing new taste and flavor sensations. And it's amazing the amount of work that they do to come up with these interesting tastes and unique flavors, which are so enriching. That's part of the reason why we keep going back, because it's always something new and fresh in one of their.
It's true.
So let's take me back. You know, you've had very interesting arc as an entrepreneur. I'm wondering, as that arc's gone, have you ever had a sense of like being alone or isolated as you've built and scaled your firm?
Yeah, all the time. I would say that's probably one of the more common feelings, leading your own firm, especially in an industry as demanding as restaurants. You're, you know, making tough calls, you're carrying the weight of your team, and, you know, even with a solid network, it's very challenging to sort of feel like people that you are conversing with understand the pressure of that. And so, I feel lonely all the time. I mean, I think over the years, I've built a better network in terms of other small business owners, even people that I've done business with, and don't even work with anymore. They've become very good friends. And so it's been easier over the years, but that initial feeling was very much present, I would say, at least within the first 5 years, for sure, of even having a business partner, right? Because you're just figuring it out. And, you know, the restaurant world is small. You know, at the end of the day, everybody kind of knows everybody to some degree. So I'd say that feeling is much better. It's gotten much better, but yeah, it can be a very lonely, entrepreneurship can be very lonely. And that's not the first time. I mean, and it's not exclusive to my vertical, right? It's kind of unanimous.
Yeah, there's so much that an entrepreneur has, so many decisions that you have to make. And sometimes because you are the entrepreneur, it sort of stops with you and you have to make the final decision. And I think sometimes from what I've heard from other guests, that can lead to a sense of isolation as well, because you just like the pressure's
Well,
on me to decide.
well, and when you have to make cutthroat decisions, there's also a level of confrontation that comes with that, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think that making tough decisions makes people feel very uncomfortable. And that in itself is very isolating, right? Because you become a very direct person, which I very much am. um, become very direct. That sometimes seeps over into your personal life, and you're like, wait a minute, I gotta be able to like put this hat on and take this hat off. And so it's a skill
Uh,
set, right? It gives you, in the long term, it gives you a high EQ, right? A high emotional quotient in terms of how to deal with people and things like that. And that's also very uncomfortable. Which, yeah, when you become that person, it's very isolating.
As I mentioned to you off the air, my wife's a teacher, and I've been doing this 17 years, and in the early days, I was like bringing her into all the stuff because I thought she'd want to know. And what I realized is I was not helping our relationship by taking her through all the stuff that I was dealing with in the early days
Yeah.
because she's not an entrepreneur. She didn't sign up for that, and it's sort of like I got to learn somebody else. I got to find somebody else to talk to because this is not good for her.
You know, I agree. And my husband is an incredible support when it comes to my business. And I know that businesses, I guess, at this point, and I know that he doesn't always understand. We work in two completely different worlds. My husband's an attorney. And so all people can do when they're on the other side of that coin, right? They're when the significant other is more of like your support is that's it. Like they can just really support you. They're not going to fully understand why you make the choices you do or why you take the risk on that you do. Because I think owning your own business, it comes with a lot of risk, and
Yes.
I think that can sometimes make your significant other very nervous. And so over the years, I just feel like he and I have been together 10 years this year. And I feel I definitely attribute a lot of my success to his support. And so I'm very grateful for that. He doesn't always understand, but he's always there to support. So I can't ask for anything more than that.
Well, that sounds like a perfect situation. So, moving on, I'd like to maybe turn you in a little different direction, which is there a piece of business advice you've received that you have found valuable that you can pay forward to my audience today?
Yeah. You know, when I was in my early 20s, I was told that integrity is the foundation of long term success. And I really took that to heart. Trends shift, markets evolve, and strategies adapt, but integrity really remains constant. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies, I think, in business, and so it builds trust with clients, loyalty among employees. And so I've really taken that to heart and really applied that to my own, to the way that I run my business, to the way that I conduct my relationships outside of that. And so I would just say to anybody that is looking to obviously, start like anyone that's looking to start a business is, I think that if you do all the right things and you lead with, a high moral compass, you will get out of it what you put in.
I love that, and I have to believe that has been tested in business as an entrepreneur. Your commitment to doing that, I would have to believe, on
Oh yeah,
occasion you've been tested.
there's no question, right? There's probably not probably. There have been lots of opportunities that I have passed up that that maybe would have catapulted me even higher than where I am now, right? But the juice isn't really worth the squeeze sometimes,
Mm.
and I think that I'm more about the long term than I am about the short term wins, although those are important too. There's a lot of damage there's just a lot of damage that can be done when you position yourself and become an opportunist. And it's just not, to me, that's not a long-term vision.
And I think I agree with you. There is a book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and it talks about the pyramid from which high performing teams build high performance, and on the foundation is trust.
Right.
And I think in business, and then there's books by Covey about the speed of trust and really maintaining trust and having integrity in your brand and in your personal brand. It's critical to scale.
Well, and at the end of the day, people work with people they like. That's one thing I've also been told, right? And so and that's so true. People work with people they like. And, lying to people, not being transparent with people, that's really not a good way to build a long-term relationship, a partnership, so on and so forth. So
yeah, or trying to always negotiate for maximum advantage. And there are those people in business who every opportunity is an opportunity for them to get more than they give. And those are difficult relationships to maintain. Thank you for that. That was great. And I appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk experiential marketing. It's really, And so define it for my audience, and then give me your perspective and what's happening and how it's impacting the restaurant industry.
Yeah, experiential marketing is a huge, I'm really glad you brought this up, because it's actually a really big topic of discussion for a lot of marketers right now. And it's basically when, brands invite their consumers to experience the brand firsthand in person. And so what you'll find is people are sort of creating these pop-ups or these really opulent events that, drive a certain product and the branding. And when you're a really big diehard for certain things, for instance, Rhode is Hailey Bieber's, makeup line. And she created this entire experiential, marketing experience where people waited in line for 8 hours just to go inside and test the products and so it's become sort of this way to connect with consumers, and especially consumers of the younger Gen Z, right? Because they're really looking for a connection and an experience, whereas I feel like generationally in the past, maybe millennials or Gen X, they've spent a lot of time accumulating stuff versus the experience. So a lot of brands are really leaning into this, and I definitely see restaurants. Restaurants are already doing very subtle things like this. For instance, a wine dinner, right? It's a very easy way to create a food experience. Michelin star restaurants, they do this a lot, right? You immerse yourself into sort of what they've created in the art, so to speak, that they create. I shouldn't go like this because it is art. If you've been to a Michelin star restaurant, it's amazing. And I always tell people it's my art. Some people actually like painting. Some people, they like shoes. I like this form of art. So I definitely see restaurants leaning into that more, and also restaurants, fractional C-suites are also very popular, or becoming very popular, where people will hire a fractional CMO or a fractional chief office or CDO, like chief development officer. And fractional is somebody that doesn't work full time for your business, but plays that role. And so I do see a lot of restaurants leaning into that too.
It's interesting because you answered my question. I was going to ask if the experiential marketing was kind of generational driven, or if it was just, because I think the human condition is people like experiences, but I do agree with you that successive generations much more value spending money on an experience than on a thing.
I think Gen Z is I think they are really controlling that at this point, just because of the way that they spend their money. And they absolutely want to spend their money on experiences and having the opportunity to immerse themselves into something and feeling a part of it, versus not being able to do that, right? And so whereas like I said before, whereas other millennials, I'm a millennial, we've spent a lot of time accumulating things, nice cars, or whatever the case is, designer bags or stuff, right? which is its own experience in itself, but it's not immersive. Like it's very transactional. You show up, you buy it, you take it, it makes you feel a certain way and you move on.
Right.
In this case, it's like over and over and over again, they want to immerse themselves into the brand, which essentially makes them an even more loyal buyer. So the millions of dollars that these companies are spending to sort of attract them, it's a long-term play. Absolutely. So.
Well, I am neither Gen X or a millennial, but I can tell you that the longer that I'm around, the more I realize what's really valuable are the memories and the relationships that you build, the experience that you have over the stuff that you've accumulated. So I applaud the fact that Gen Z is starting there. They don't have to evolve to that point. That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the future. What do you got planned for restaurant marketing in your future as an entrepreneur?
It's an interesting time to be a part of restaurant marketing because we did just celebrate our 5-year anniversary in August, which was, really exciting for me, especially. It was a really big milestone. But as a result, we've definitely been, or I have been sort of reevaluating because we have the next 5 years. And so I don't know exactly what's in store for us quite yet. I mean, we're obviously going to continue down the same road that we have been. We work with some really amazing brands at the moment. And so I imagine that we will obviously continue to grow. But in terms of where the agency is going to end up, I'm not 100% sure. I'll know more probably by the end of this year. But I think in the immediate future, it would be to continue to branch outside of Orange County in terms of who we are trying to work with. So as of right now, we have clients in St. Louis, we have clients in Atlanta. And so over the last year, that's been something that's been a little bit more of a priority. And so I would say just becoming a little bit more national versus a regional agency is top priority. But we're in the midst of putting together the next 5-year plan. So maybe when I talk to you next, I'll have some more definitive answers for you.
Fair enough. And you're in the restaurant industry, but you're in the technology aspect of the restaurant industry. And the guests that I've had over the years who are either in technology or their business leverages technology, the rev of the business model is very fast because the technology is evolving, like artificial intelligence and other things. So staying on trend as well as staying current on technology does force a change in the business model that other companies may not experience.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I would say, the Instagrams and really the algorithms of the world are what really controls what we're doing on a regular basis, right? And that in itself is just a constant pivot, especially if, one of the services that you are providing is content, right? The need for content nowadays is constant. It's every day, all the time. And let me be very clear, posting on social media every single day is not a strategy, right? And there are some people who want that. There are some clients that want that. And even if you advise against it, that's still what they want. So, hey, client, that's what they want. That's what we'll give them. But, it's really the algorithms of these platforms that dictate what we use, why we do what we do, so on and so forth, right? I mean, if Instagram's going to tell us, hey, 1-minute videos are like what the algorithm prefers, I guess we have to pivot to 1-minute videos, right? Which changes, how we shoot, like what we shoot, how long maybe a client is talking, whatever the case is. So yeah, that level of technology has a huge say in, our focus, no doubt.
So someone's going to want to reach out to you. I am confident of that. And they may want to learn more, obviously, about your firm. How do they find you as the entrepreneur? And how do they find restaurant marketing?
Yeah, so if you go to restaurantmarketing.com, you can, it's very easy, but you can go to restaurantmarketing.com. That'll give you an overview of just some of the services that we offer. There is a contact us page, but if there's somebody who wants to reach out for any reason, you can always reach me at jess@restaurantmarketing.com.
I told you at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good one planned for you. And Jessica, you did not disappoint. Technological challenges on the side. You were awesome. Thank you for your time today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for the audience for being a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. If you are in Orange County, you would like to be a future guest, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. And between Haley, our producer, and myself, we'll be happy to get you ready for a future episode. Until we all have a chance to be together again, I hope each of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.